We would like to begin the second part of today's event, panel discussion. We have entitled the panel discussion as Reshaping the World, Female Entrepreneurs Changing Society. We have 5 participants. Those of you listening to the translation, please use the Interprify app. Let me hand over the microphone to Ms. Makiko Shinoda, who will be the moderator of this session. Good evening. So I will be speaking in both Japanese and English, and panelists, please choose in whichever language you prefer. Just a brief self-introduction for myself. I am currently a board director of Yell Inc. So it is a service to provide one-on-one listening sessions online, connecting people working in the company and outside of the company.
Okay, let me introduce myself very quickly. I'm working for a startup called Yell right now. And what we do is we provide one-on-one listening sessions to people working in corporations, thereby supporting the individual's development and also organizational development.
So let me move on to the panelists. Mr. Ken Yasunaga, he has a very wide experience in venture investment. Hello, my name is Yasunaga from Global Hands-on VC. Thank you for introducing me to speak in the panel today. I started from 9 years at a trading firm in Japan, and then VC in the US, and then a VC in Japan. In the US, we started our own venture capital. And in Japan, up until last year, I was at INC-J, the Innovation Network Corporation of Japan, which is a Japanese government fund. And I was the managing director there. And I am one of the members of promoting EdgeNext. And I am also a fellow of JVCA, which is the Japan Venture Capital Association. After leaving Innovation Network Corporation of Japan, INC-J, there is a company called Claudia, which is a semiconductor company, which we had been supporting, and I continue to support that company. And we were able to successfully raise 700 million yen of that semiconductor company. So now I decided to chase my own dream of establishing the Global Hands-on VC. And there is a serial entrepreneur who I met in the US, and he is now a partner. And we are in the process of expanding the VC. So, Mr. Yasunaga, you have a wide range of experience, and we are also fellow entrepreneurs. And next, Ms. Yokota, you were a moderator in the session with university students, and you have been really supporting many female CEOs. Hello, my name is Kyoko Yokota. I was acting as a moderator on behalf of the Ochanomizu University, but my main job is the CEO of Collabo Labo, which is a company that I founded 16 years ago. And I worked first at a company called Recruit for 6 years, and thus far I have been successful in expanding Collabo Labo. I think that I can be proud to say that I am the person in Japan who knows most about Japanese female CEOs. And we run a website called womenspresidents.net. Next, let me introduce Ms. Joanne Howard. For those of you who were not there from the beginning.
Yes, lovely. My name is Joanne Howard. I'm the founder and CEO of Planet Protector Packaging, presently operating across Australia and New Zealand and beginning our rapid phase, which will include expansion into Southeast Asia. I'm also the Cartier laureate for Southeast Asia and Oceania.
There is one more panelist, Miss Nadia Eldon, who will also be joining, but she is having connectivity issues. Therefore, she will be joining us later on. So, without further ado, there was the presentation from university students in part 1. And regardless of our age, whether you're a student or a business person, I felt that they are really looking at the issues that they're seeing in their everyday lives and trying to make improvements.
Hi, yes, we'd like a word from every one of you, just how you felt about the students, their business ideas and presentations. Yeah, Jenna?
Oh, for Joanne, yes. Okay, so I feel very inspired tonight. It is my tonight, but I feel very inspired having heard all of these young people that are looking at the world and looking for more sustainable solutions, and they're inspired to become entrepreneurs to make the world a better place. I think that you can align purpose, passion, and profit. And my own business, which is a social enterprise, has as its core a very essential element of wanting to make the world a better place. We measure our impact, we have KPIs, and for us, these things are more important, really, than our financial performance. Obviously, you've got to be viable to stay in business, but I looked at the cross-section and all the very diverse interests and all the different UN Sustainability Development Goals that they're tackling, and I'm very inspired.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Yasunaga-san as well? It was really interesting. I enjoyed it. The Edge Next program is having a wonderful impact because they recognize an issue and they know very clearly what they want to solve. And they are doing market research, they are doing interviews and questionnaires. So that was really good. Also, they are studying the issue a lot and they know where the need is and they're looking at the technology. So the students have developed their own approach. So it was really interesting to see. Some of the presentations had very high quality, so it was quite enjoyable for me. And Yokota-san, you were serving as a moderator, but once again, if you have any comments on that, there was a lot of energy. And it's a good age to be an entrepreneur because they are already collecting information, they're already moving ahead with a project. Joe said that having an idea is not enough. You have to act on it and you have to create a process to really develop that idea into action. And these days, they can start with prototypes and develop the programs online. And once you have something to show, more people will be supportive. And it was great that people were very supportive via the chat as well. As you said, the business idea having a purpose to contribute to society. So, Joe, you said it's possible to achieve both purpose and profit. And this is something that is already there from the onset. And we feel like it's a big challenge to achieve both. But the students are not scared of trying to achieve both profit and impact. So that was very heartening. Another thing was that they are looking at a product roadmap. So I've seen various startups and you do pivot and you have to adjust the business model to the market. And how to expand the business what you have to do in the next steps to have that mindset from day one is very important. So the students are really thinking about how to expand and develop the business in the future as well. So I felt that they're really growing.
Yes, that was certainly wonderful. So this event and the Cartier Award all support women, female entrepreneurs. So next topic is about female entrepreneurs.
Next, we'd like to move on to the topic of women in entrepreneurship, precisely because this is the forum is all about.
As a big premise, in different countries, there's the Gender Gap Index, which is published by the World Economic Forum. So the panelists, we have people from Japan and Australia, and then if the connectivity resumes, so we have Nadia from Egypt. So the Gender Gap Index, Australia was ranked 44th. Japan was 121st, and Egypt was 134th.
This is just a background information. When we look at the Gender Gap Index by the World Economic Forum, Australia ranked number 44. Japan was 121st. And Egypt came in 134th. And this may or may not tie into how women in entrepreneurship is perceived in each country.
So first, I would like to ask Mr. Yasunaga and Ms. Yokota about the situation in Japan from your extensive experience looking at female entrepreneurs. So first, we will hear from the Japan, and later I will ask Joanne about the situation in Australia. So first, I would like to ask the two panelists from Japan regarding the situation here in Japan. I hand over to you, Mr. Yasunaga. Right. I'm not sure about the overall picture, but I would say the number of female entrepreneurs is increasing gradually. Of course, globally, female entrepreneurs who are able to raise funds, I think it has increased by 10 or by twofold compared to 10 years ago. And in Japan, there are great role models as well, but the number is still few. From the person who provides funds, this is what I think. I don't really see gender bias in this area. Venture capital, first of all, is all about making money. So regardless whether the founder or CEO is male, female, LGBT, it doesn't matter. As long as the business makes money, we make investment. What is necessary for starting up a business that will be profitable and giving us returns? That's what we look at. And also managing a business is not done by an individual. It's always done by a team. You have a team of CEO, CFO, and other people. And by having female members on the team, I think there will be more careful not to miss anything, any important points. This is a general comment, but I think female members are more attentive. So by having women on your team, they'll be able to pick up all the necessary items. And I think the team functions more effectively by having women on their team. So from that perspective, it's not so much gender bias. I don't see much discrimination in terms of gender, but rather as a team, there is a person who performs function A. This person happens to be woman or gay. It doesn't matter as long as they fulfill the functions and fill the role that they are expected. So in that sense, gender doesn't really matter. So it's not something to put too much focus on. Of course, by focusing on, I think we can encourage and promote women entrepreneurs. But when we think about just simply making profit, gender has no bearing. I see. Yasunaga-san, you talk with many different people. Perhaps people come to you asking for investment. Have you seen that female entrepreneurs have increased? Not really. No, I wouldn't say that. I want to see more female entrepreneurs, but I don't see that the number has increased. But I think we see more female members on the team. They may not necessarily be founders or CEOs, but there are more women on the teams. I see. Thank you. Yokota-san? I see. What Yasunaga-san has just said, I want to make some comments. Part of me is convinced gender doesn't matter, but the other part of me thinks that when it comes to Japan, gender is still an issue. The EDGE program that we've been talking about, in the previous session, we had many female students presenting. And that was because we intentionally tried to get female students to participate. But I must admit, this was the first attempt as an EDGE program. And from the university, we initially asked one team to present, but from consortium, they said we want 2 teams to present. In any case, I think in a consortium, female students only account for around 10%. It would be rare if the consortium has female members that account for 30%. So that's the reality. But as Mr. Yasunaga said, when we look at teams and what level of diversity they can achieve, we saw in today's presenters there were teams of female as well as male students. So that's the kind of evolution that we are seeing gradually, although. Ms. Yokota just now talked about these student teams outside the university environment. You also talk with female managers outside campus. When you interact with those female managers in Japan, the fact that they are female, do you think they bring something positive? I think there are some things that work positively because they are women, or maybe there are some challenges that they face because they are women. Can you talk about that? Sure. I think it's the same for men, but when women start a business, venture capital people often work with businesses that are scalable. So it doesn't matter whether a business is run by male or women. But if we look at these businesses, they are social businesses, small businesses, they are quite diverse. And these female entrepreneurs that I've seen, they come from different backgrounds. Some have been housewives for many years. They have not worked in companies, but after many years, they've come back and started their own business. So the difference between men and women is that the funds and job experience is quite lacking for women entrepreneurs, and they need to somehow try to bridge that gap. I think that's the difference between male and female entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, Joanne, can you tell us a little bit about how women in entrepreneurship is viewed in Australia? Is there any stigma around this? Do you see any change recently?
I do see a change. We've certainly made some progress, not as much progress as we need to, but increasingly there are a lot of initiatives and a lot of programs to support female entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of interest in that space. Even at a government level, there's 2 female initiatives for grants that we've just recently won a grant under that criteria, Female Founders Growth Grant. Mm-hmm. And I believe the landscape is changing, but it's slow. There's less women involved in boards, but generally my experience has been, and I meet some very dynamic women that are very entrepreneurial and great leaders and inspirations. And generally, they just get on and they do the job. It's like, I think that they're better leaders. I think they're good communicators. They're more empathetic leaders. And I believe that if those women entrepreneurs are supported to grow their businesses and grow their impact, it brings along whole communities with them. So, I'm very proud of what we're achieving in our own business. We employ prisoners under a works release program. So we're training and educating. So we look across every aspect of our business to look at how we make an impact. And I move in a circle of similarly minded women who are really out to change the world, and regardless of their gender. But certainly in Australia, there's still many more opportunities for men. I participated in an accelerator this morning. It was a 3-hour workshop, and I was the only female. There were 11 men. So it's still a little bit intimidating, but if you've got the passion and you tell the story, well, there's no reason why you can't succeed as much as men do.
Thank you.
So women are able to uplift the entire community. That came up, so let me talk about that.
Joanne, you touched upon how women entrepreneurs tend to bring their community and lift the community together. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that aspect? What did you mean about that?
Well, some of the women that I've met through the Cartier Women's Initiative, when I looked at who the finalists were and the inspirational work that a lot of them were doing in the developing world, and you can see the way they engage with their community, they bring everybody along for the ride. Like, they cultivate, and I tried to do this in my business as well. I've got a lot of young women that are moving in different spheres, and it just seems to sort of multiply. Sometimes in our office, the energy is palpable, the excitement of the difference that we're making in the world. And I've been very inspired by a lot of the other Cartier laureates who have just had phenomenal success in, shaping the future of their businesses. So, yeah.
ありがとうございます. Thank you very much.
So listening to Joe, there was perhaps a linkage with what Yokota-san said earlier. Whichever country, historically, female labor participation was low, and women tend to leave the workplace after marriage or giving birth. And men continue to work. And during their life stage, they choose to start a company. So in that sense, women have more diverse experience. But there are also women who have not been given same opportunities as men. But I think the fact that women have a more diverse life and work experience may be reflected in their entrepreneurship. So, do you think that has a bearing on the business, or maybe there is no such gender difference? But what I'm trying to say is the diversity in the experience before starting up a company may be an interesting look at female entrepreneurs. Let me first ask Yokota-san first. Well, women have more opportunity to belong to different communities. For example, there is a person that I recently met, and she's participating today. She is supporting people studying abroad who have dyslexia. So it's very niche, but she has experience with dyslexia. And it's a company in Hiroshima specializing in people with dyslexia. So women are able to leverage their experience from their backgrounds. But if they have finance, if they have network, they can be successful faster. But also women tend to be a wife and mother and CEO. So many women have to slow down because they are wearing different hats. In some cases, women choose to go at it slower, or sometimes women don't have sufficient access and they have to be slower. Yasunaga-san, what do you think? So, what you call experience may be different, but having children makes time management very tough. But perhaps that fosters decision-making capabilities, which could be reflected in corporate management. On the other hand, men have to work in this hierarchy, and if you're working for a very large company, you are simply a part of this very large organization, and you may not have sufficient experience in decision making. So different people have different experience, and where you have the passion, I think it's key. If you really have a passion and you know what you want, then you can learn. And even if you don't have an opportunity directly, perhaps you can still learn as long as you have passion and a will to engage in certain business. Because you're a woman, because you have to balance different aspects of work and life, perhaps that reflects in unique strength for female entrepreneurs. Women have different life events which could be restrictive, but at the same time that could foster capabilities. But also, the society may have a stereotype of women, that women should be like this. And in some cases, women may not be able to exercise all of their potential because they are hindered by the expectations of society. So let me turn to Joan.
Joanne, we were discussing how women as entrepreneurs have potential on one side and some hardships on the other. The potential, when we think about the life events of becoming a wife, having children, or thinking of having children and going through all these life stages, may nurture some different qualities compared to men who are less committed to family. But on the other hand, it may deprive her of some time, energy, etc. That's one on the personal side, but also from the social, the society may look at, because you're a woman, you can do this or you cannot do that, and that may or may not that may become a sort of a ceiling for the woman to really fulfill her potential. How do you see those dynamics play out in where you have in your path, and also where you do your business?
Yeah, in my path, I think by the characteristics of women, they're caring, they're nurturing, their role in life is different. And I think, when you're a young woman and you get married and you aspire to have a family, and then you get involved in all the competing priorities. Like, I think women these days can have everything, but I don't think that they can have everything at the one time. So if you take a time out from your career to raise a family and manage all of those competing priorities, then when you re-enter the workforce, you need to be constantly trying to make up for that lost time out. And, I think it's a challenge. I think that there's a lot more flexibility around work arrangements. Certainly, as a result of COVID, we've seen a huge change with the number of women working from home. And I think that will go into the future, and that will give women more flexibility. I really think that life is a series of challenges, and I look at my own life, and I'm juggling a family and juggling aging parents, and the woman is always the carer and the nurturer, and those sort of demands can be very taxing. So you've got to be very focused and work, and I think your business becomes your passion. And where I lose out personally is in my downtime. I find it very difficult to shut off or to relax. Even, over the Christmas break and things, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be relaxing. I have so much to do. Like, it's crazy. But other than that, I've got a team of very young, capable young women, and 3 of them are on the verge of getting pregnant. And they're very fortunate in this day and age and they will contribute just as much to the business working remotely. So I think women do have a lot more opportunities these days.
Thank you. We have great comments in the chat box as well. I would like to introduce some. One is regarding what Joe said about purpose, passion, profit, all can be realized. The comment says that they were very much moved. They would also like to pursue their passion, purpose, and profit. The other comment is that if I was not a mother, I would never thought of starting my business. In other words, this comment, the person who gave us this comment was that because they were a mother, they were able to decide to start up a business. So it's not a detour, but it's a great detour indeed. So those are great comments. Unfortunately, we are not seeing Nadia. Apparently, her connection is not yet established. So I think it's just going to be the 4 of us. But as we are nearing the end of this session, this is my next question. What is, the meaning of a woman starting a business? Of course, there is 2 aspects from personal point of view and from the societal perspective. What is the significance of women starting businesses?
Yes, we'd like to hear about what is the specific potential of more women becoming entrepreneurs for the women personally, and also as a society, what will be benefit?
So in any order, anyone who would like to go first, please.
From any one of you?
Yep, I'll go first.
Thank
I think
you.
we need more women in key positions in government, in leadership, in churches. I don't think the churches around the world would be in the crisis that they're in if they had more female input. I think that's my position just across the board. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yasunaga-san. I think a talent, there's no gender difference. Potential, there's no gender difference. So the problem is not with women, it's with the society that surrounds them. How to accept them. I think that's the recognition that we all need to have. In the Venture Capital Association, we often talk about this recently. Unless the focus is on women, they don't become panelists or they don't become keynote speakers. So I think it's important that we raise our voices, us men as well, and identify positives in that experience is, I think, required. Today, we had presentations They were all passionate, and I think they will reach their goals until Lincoln was successful. I think the saying goes that he failed 47 times or something like that. So it's important to keep on challenging, and there's no gender difference in that. I see. Thank you. Yokota-san? Well, I think I can share other benefits of women entrepreneurs. Many social businesses often have women involved. If I can share data compared to male managers, female managers are more likely to employ female workers. I think the difference is by 10% or more. So by having more women in the managerial positions, in key positions, this certainly contributes to more neutral, more equal employment environment. So I certainly hope that more women fill key roles. I think about 10 years ago, women entrepreneurs that I met 10 years ago often had experience overseas. They studied or lived abroad as a child. And I think they experienced how women were treated slightly differently in society overseas. And I think starting a business, they were able to be themselves and to directly express how they want to contribute to society. So I also encourage women who are participating in the EDGE program, as well as male participants, to pursue their dreams. Thank you. On this point, I read a book and learned something, so that's something I would like to share with you. The book was written by Melinda Gates, the wife of Bill Gates. And in the book, she gave very simple examples. For example, facial recognition technology. You have the smartphones that uses facial recognition. When the technology first came out, one researcher realized that the technology was not recognizing his face properly. This was a computer science expert, so he looked into this. Oh, actually, this was a she, an African-American woman who looked into the problem. This was about 10 years ago. The error rate of fair-skinned males was only 1%, but the error rate for dark-colored or colored people, colored women, was 33%. So the two companies, one in Silicon Valley and the other in a different location, she contacted those companies to modify the program. And the companies looked into the problem and said that it was not intentional. It was just that those who developed the program, people who grew up in an environment with only males surrounding them. So unconsciously, unintentionally, they were biased, and that bias was incorporated into the program for the AI. So this problem still exists. If you live in an English-speaking world and you write an article, the same happens. So what we can learn from this is that technology, as well as managing a company, we need to understand that this bias affects the future society as well as lawmaking. Unless there is diversity, there will be this distortion incorporated into the design, and it will seep into the society and remain there for many, many years to come. That is why for the society and entrepreneurs who will be creating the next generation world or society, they need to be diverse. They need to have diversity. Otherwise, unintentionally, there will be some bias that will disadvantage certain groups or certain people in society. So that was explained in the book. So, of course, bringing out the full potential of individuals is important, and having a diverse businesses flourish is truly wonderful. But in order to have a society that is fair, it's also important to have more women entrepreneurs. May I comment? Sure, certainly. Shinoda-san, this is something I'd like to ask you, Ms. Shinoda and Ms. Yokota. The other day, Google conducts this research. When a Japanese person is unlikely to choose starting a business as a choice, 15% of Japanese men say they are not interested in starting a business. 42% of Japanese women say they are not interested in starting up. This is very unfortunate, regrettable. As Shinoda-san said, being an entrepreneur, you will be able to better manage your time or realize your dreams. So I look at this situation and I want to make people believe that it is a choice for them to start a business for women. I want to really answer that question, but unfortunately it is time to start wrapping up. But let's take your question to the next social session. That should be something we can discuss in the social session after this. Why or how to convince women that it is a choice, it is an option for them to start a business. We can also revisit Joe's experience in the social session later on. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Yasunaga-san. Thank you, Yokota-san. Thank you for all the valuable comments.
Joanne, thank you very much for your insight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the panelists for a wonderful panel discussion. This concludes part 2.